Apologies, John. Deputy Brady, sorry.
Yeah, thanks, Cahir. Look, Minister, for many of the 37,871 people currently on the Torresnue and CTEC programmes, and them figures are directly from your own department this week, it has been a nightmare for those individuals. The issues being faced by people highlight the vast holes in your government's job activation measures. Persons selected for the Job PAT programme are prohibited from and excluded from taking part in job activation schemes such as CE schemes, part-time job incentive schemes, job clubs and local employment services, and from participating in all other forms of training other than those supplied by the private companies such as CTEC and Torresnue. Minister, are you aware of the ongoing issues facing people with Torresnue and CTEC, and will you make a statement on the matter?
Minister, 2 minutes.
Both job pad companies, Torresnue and CTEC, have considerable experience in successfully delivering employment services. They are very conscious of the challenges faced by people who have been unemployed for a long time and need to provide suitable supports to people to help them back into work. So far, some 38,000 people have been referred to JobPath, and the response has been extremely positive. Relative to the number of clients referred, there have been relatively few issues raised at this point. There have been 53 complaints recorded, which equates to 0.14% of referrals. The majority of complaints were about people's initial reluctance to engage with the service in respect to individual customer services experiences where people felt that they weren't treated properly by the officers involved. Other issues related to logistical and operational policy matters, such as travel arrangements and difficulties attending appointments. All complaints are taken seriously, and most have either been resolved or are in the process of being resolved. JobPath is providing activation resources that supplement and augment the Department's own in-house activation resources. The contracts with the JobPath companies stipulate that a significant number of requirements have to be met by the companies. The contracts have an inbuilt service guarantee, which means that each job seeker is guaranteed a baseline level of service, including frequency of meetings with personal advisors, a transparent complaints process and a range of individual supports. The companies provide a copy of their service statements to each participant at the initial engagement stage, and the companies are subject to regular checks and on-site inspections by the Department to ensure that they are delivering on their contractual obligations. Failure to deliver on contractual commitments, including customer service commitments, can result in penalties being applied to the companies.
Are you ready?
Thanks, Minister. Minister, what I'm hearing on the ground that some people have been waiting for places in other job activation schemes, and indeed one man I was talking to in my own constituency, he had been out of work for a considerable period of time. On his own initiative he went and he got offered a place on a CE scheme as a staff artist. He had been contacted by JobPath and he was locked in there with those. They would not allow him take up that position within the CE scheme. They forced him to continue on the JobPath as opposed to take up direct immediate employment. There's other issues there. One participant who was selected for the JobPath was forced to pay out of their own pocket €120 for a safe pass. That individual had limited funding, and yet is forced to pay that money out of their own pocket. So again, Minister, will you address those issues? Will you look at those serious anomalies that are in the system, blocking people from taking up immediate alternative employment?
Minister.
Yeah, as Deputy points out, nearly 40,000 people have been referred to a JobPath, of whom thousands have managed to get employment. So, but I've no doubt, of course, that there will be individuals who have a bad experience. And in some cases, because it is a very intense engagement, when people have been on the carousel of CE schemes and training and more CE schemes and more training, it is a big change for them to get the one-to-one attention. But I think it's largely to the benefit of most people. If you want to give me the details on the Safe Pass case, I'll certainly have that checked into. I don't think somebody should be required to have to pay for a Safe Pass, particularly if they're on a social welfare payment. €120 is an enormous amount of money for somebody who's on €180 or a little bit more than that a week. But you know what we do want people is to get jobs, and if somebody can get a job through JobPath, it is better that they get that job rather than being on a CE scheme or a job bridge placement, and there may be a small number of people who would prefer to be on job bridge or CE or TUS than actually being in a real job, but I don't think that's something we should encourage, in fact.
Final question, Deputy Brady.
Okay. Minister, I think your fate and these companies being able to deliver results is astounding, and just to hear you there defend them. And yes, they're in place nearly a year now, and I know there's going to be a review of that. But if we look at internationally and some of these companies that operate in places like Britain, for example, where these payment by result initiatives have been in place, and some of the same companies in place, only about 4% of people engaged in them go on to long-term employment for the clients in secure employment. So I think that's a factor that needs to be borne in. But also there's evidence there that some of these companies, CTEC and CTEC, are engaging in a practice called cherry picking. And it's also renowned over in the UK as well, and it's called creaming and parking, where because they receive payment based on results, they are picking easy targets to achieve instant results, and they're parking other cases there that may perceive to be more problematic in terms of achieving results. There is evidence there at this point that practice is starting to creep in here. It's a serious concern that I have around the whole privatisation of this issue, and I think it's something that needs to be looked at. And Minister, are you aware of those issues, and if so, will you address them?
Time has run out, and Minister, if you
certainly, if the Deputy does have solid or empirical evidence that there is creaming or cherry picking, both I and my officials would like to see and study and examine that evidence, because actually what we've put in place into the contract to avoid that happening is the use of PEC scores, where somebody is assessed by a department official, and a score is assigned to them on the likelihood of them finding a job on their own at the top of the scale to being somebody who would have great difficulty finding a job at the bottom of the scale, and actually that's used in the system. So that control is there to prevent that happening. So if you do have solid, real evidence, empirical of that, we'd be very happy to see it, because it would allow us to reduce the payments.
We've run